Let me start by saying something that might sting a little. If your baby wakes up multiple times every night, there's a good chance you're the reason why. And I don't mean that in a cruel way. I mean it in the most empowering way possible, because if you're the cause, then you're also the solution. Most parents think night wakings are just something you have to survive. They're told it's normal, it's developmental, it's just what babies do. And sure, some night wakings are normal. Newborns need to eat frequently, teething happens, growth spurts are real. But when your 10-month-old is waking up 5 times a night, every single night, and has been doing this for months, that's not developmental, that's learned behavior, and you taught it to them. I know that sounds harsh, but stick with me, because understanding this is the first step to actually fixing the problem. Here's what's really happening. Every time your baby wakes up in the middle of the night, they're looking for the same conditions that were present when they fell asleep. This is called sleep association, and it's completely normal. Adults do this too. If you fall asleep with a pillow and wake up without it, you're going to notice. You might even have trouble falling back asleep until you find it. For babies, this works the same way, except their pillow might be you. If your baby falls asleep while nursing, or being rocked, or bouncing on a yoga ball, or being held, then when they naturally cycle through light sleep phases during the night, they're going to wake up and think, "Hey, where did all that stuff go? I need it back to fall asleep again." And what do? You give it to them, you nurse them back to sleep, you rock them, you bounce them, and in doing so, you reinforce the pattern. You're essentially teaching your baby that waking up and crying leads to the exact experience they're looking for. This isn't your baby being manipulative. They're not trying to torture you. They're just doing what works. You've created a very reliable system where their cry produces a specific result, so they keep using it. It's like a vending machine. You push the button, you get the snack. They cry, they get the rocking or nursing or holding. Now some of you are thinking, but my baby is hungry. They need to eat at night. And for young babies, yes, absolutely. But if your 9-month-old is nursing or taking a bottle 6 times a night and barely drinking anything each time, they're not hungry. They're using you as a pacifier. They're using feeding as a way to get back to sleep, not as actual nutrition. Here's how you know the difference. A hungry baby will wake up, feed fully, and go back to sleep relatively easily. A baby who's using feeding as a sleep association will wake up, nurse or take a bottle for 2 minutes, doze off, then wake up again an hour later and repeat the cycle. They're snacking, not eating. And you're enabling it. The same goes for rocking, bouncing, holding, even the pacifier. If your baby can't fall asleep without it and can't get back to sleep without it, then it's not a helpful tool anymore. It's a crutch. And every time you provide that crutch in the middle of the night, you're making the problem worse. Let's talk about another way you might be causing night wakings: your response time. Some parents are so anxious about their baby crying that they rush in at the first whimper. The baby isn't even fully awake yet, just making some noise during a light sleep phase, and the parent is already picking them up. Now the baby is definitely awake, and they've learned that making any sound brings mom or dad running. Babies are actually capable of some degree of self-soothing, even young ones. They might fuss a little, shift positions, suck on their hands, and drift back to sleep on their own. But if you never give them the chance to do that, they'll never learn how. You're doing the work for them, and in the process, you're teaching them that they can't do it themselves. Then there's the issue of inconsistency. Maybe you try to let your baby fuss for a few minutes one night, but then you give in and pick them up after 2 minutes because you're tired and you just want it to stop. Or maybe your partner has one approach and you have another. Maybe you're firm on weeknights but cave on weekends. Babies thrive on consistency. When the rules keep changing, they get confused and they test boundaries more. They're trying to figure out what actually works, so they'll keep trying different intensities and durations of crying until they find the formula that gets you to come in. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the problem is that you're meeting a need that doesn't actually exist. Your baby wakes up, you assume they need something, so you feed them or change them or rock them, when really they were just in a light sleep phase and would have gone back to sleep on their own. By intervening, you've created a need where there wasn't one. Now your baby expects that intervention, and the cycle continues. I also want to talk about the role of guilt and fear. A lot of parents, especially moms, feel tremendous guilt about the idea of not immediately responding to their baby. There's so much messaging out there about attachment and being responsive and not letting your baby cry. And those things matter. They really do. But there's a difference between being responsive and being a slave to your baby's every sound. There's a difference between meeting genuine needs and reinforcing habits that are making everyone miserable. You can be a loving, attached, responsive parent and still teach your baby to sleep independently. These things are not mutually exclusive. In fact, I'd argue that teaching your baby to sleep well is one of the most loving things you can do. A well-rested baby is a happier, healthier baby. A well-rested parent is a more patient, present, engaged parent. There's nothing noble about sacrificing your health and sanity to maintain sleep habits that aren't working. So what's the solution? It starts with recognizing that you have more power here than you think. Your baby's sleep is not something that just happens to you. It's something you can influence and change. First, you need to break the sleep associations. That means putting your baby down awake, not asleep. I know that sounds impossible if you've been rocking or nursing to sleep for months, but it's not. It takes time and consistency, but babies are incredibly adaptable. They learn fast. Second, you need to give your baby the opportunity to self-soothe. That doesn't mean letting them scream for hours. It means pausing before you rush in. It means giving them a few minutes to see if they can settle on their own. It means gradually reducing the amount of intervention you provide when they do wake up. Third, you need to be consistent. Pick an approach and stick with it. Make sure everyone who cares for your baby is on the same page. Babies can handle change, but they can't handle constant inconsistency. And finally, you need to let go of the guilt. You are not harming your baby by teaching them to sleep. You're giving them a skill they'll use for the rest of their life. You're showing them that they're capable, that they're safe, and that they don't need you to do everything for them. Look, I get it. This is hard. It's emotionally exhausting. It goes against every instinct to not immediately comfort your baby when they cry. But sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is step back and let your child learn. Your baby's night wakings are your fault, yes. But that means they're also within your power to fix. You created these patterns, and you can uncreate them. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. And when it does, everyone in your house will be happier, healthier, and better rested. You've got this. Now go do the hard thing. Because your baby deserves a parent who's rested enough to show up fully during the day. And you deserve sleep. You really, really do.